All right, welcome to another round of MTGA Tasting Notes. Today we have our two spring releases that we're going through. Our 2018 Bennett Valley Pinot Noir, and we'll get into our 2019 Epektase red wine in our next video as well. So stay tuned and check this one out here in a couple of minutes. First, we're gonna get into a little Pinot. This is definitely a little lighter than the red blend, so we're gonna start here for the day. 2018 Pinot, this was, man, as the vintages are starting to blend together a little bit, but this was a pretty prototypical year for our Pinot Noir vineyard, where it was a very healthy site. Actually, we had really big yields. We made more Pinot in 2018 than we ever had before, very typical of 2018 just as a vintage in general. Which, you know, you always worry about a little bit because you're like, oh man, if the yields are so high, are we gonna lose any flavors or characteristics or complexity because the vines are just spread too thin? And quite frankly, that was not the case. For a Pinot Noir, this is a big ass red wine, even for our standards. Some of you might remember the 2016 vintage if you've been watching, or sorry, been drinking our wines for some time. And just how intense and spicy that was, like out of the gate. It was like, oh man, like this is something that this is not your everyday average Pinot, and that's right where the 2018 is hanging in there. It has got this big pop of flavor, really nice and spicy. It still is my barbecue wine, which might sound counterintuitive for a lot of you, but I've done enough traveling through the Midwest and Missouri, the South, to Texas to get some good brisket, and even to the Carolinas for those vinegar-based sauces. And man, there's pretty much nothing that this Pinot Noir can't handle. It is lights out with that kind of nice, meaty, fatty kind of cuisine. Really great on its own as well, but for the pseudo carnivores in the crowd, it'll do you a solid. Now, as is tradition, our Pinot is a combination of a few different clones or types of Pinot Noir. Typically, we use 3 or 4 of them, depending on the year and what the vineyard really has to offer. The two staples that are in our Pinot Noir every single year and have been since 2015 when we started making this wine are the 115 and 667 clones. The 2 wild cards will be the Pommard and the 777. As finicky as this vineyard site is, those almost flip-flop every other or every 2 years or so. Because if a heat spike kind of comes through at the wrong time, either the Pommard will get fried and turn to raisins sooner rather than later, and it'll just be not super great quality, in which case we'll adjust to the 777, and vice versa. If one is looking better than the other, we'll play with one or the other. There has been a year, and that was 2016, where we brought in all 4 of those clones and played with them. So that was a really fun year of me going down the winemaking rabbit hole of Pinot Noir with 4 different clones, a bunch of different barrels, a bunch of different lots, and just seeing where we're going to end up at the tail end of it. 2018 in particular is going to be those 2 staples that I mentioned, 115, 667, and it'll be the Pommard as well. We did not bring in any 777 for this particular year. Now, to get into the details, it is, I mentioned the 2016 Pinot a couple of times. It is right in that vein. It is a Pinot that, for me, it's a Swiss Army knife when it comes to food, especially at a young age. Even if you're gonna be a wine nerd like I am, if you have a chance to decant it for a little bit before serving, it actually goes a long way. Decanting, not just reserved for your big Cabernets, red Bordeaux blends. If you can throw this guy in a decanter, it'll help kind of just let it breathe, open it up, get a lot of it going. And what's even more fun is that our Pinot very typically, every 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so after it's opened for about an hour or 2, like subtly changes. You go from these big spicy characteristics and this intensity and this pop of flavor, and it softens up a little bit. You notice more subtle fruit characteristics, a little bit more barrel characteristics. And that softens up a little bit more. And it's a wine that continually evolves in your glass. I never say you need, I would never say you are required to decant it, because you don't have to. But if you're a wine geek like I am, it is amazing to see the evolution of this wine, even over the course of a dinner or an hour or a cocktail hour or something like that. Now, the 2016 vintage that I'm comparing this to had this really intense out of the gate flavor, which this has. But the difference between those two is that this has this really nice kind of big wave of flavor that carries it all the way through the finish. I think our 2016, we still have a little bit of it left, but our 2016 was really up front. It was really driven kind of on the front of your palate, and it was like chewy right up here. Where this has that, but it has this nice, like, beautiful bell curve of flavor where the mid palate's a lot more defined. It's a little richer in the middle there. I think that is something that I've really loved about the evolution of our Pinot Noir program, is we're kind of dialing in, how we want this wine to feel and how we want it to, cross your taste buds, basically. So it still has that lovely barrel spice and intensity right up front. The fruit characteristics really jump out and will carry this wine through to the finish. It's just yummy. And arguably my favorite thing about it, as good as all those other characteristics can be, is the acidity. This is a wine that is zippy. It's got some zing to it. So if you have a chance, or if you have a bottle of any of our Pinots laying around, actually, the next time you're trying to do this, you grab it, you take a sip, use it as a little bit of mouthwash as such. Finish it. You'll feel the tannins kind of around your cheeks, but right down here, like on the bottom of your tongue, on the sides, you feel this tingle, this zing. And it's almost mouthwater. Like if you were to, like this, man. So we're having our first heat wave of the summer coming up. You throw this and chill it down, not so it's ice cold, but just cool. And you want some red wine during the summer that's just chilled, not ice cold. This is what I would do. It's throw this in the fridge for an hour before you serve it. Boom, something that's bright, red, rich, intense, but refreshing at the same time. It's something that I love about Bennett Valley and that area of Sonoma. It's cool climate. You don't get the ripeness that you normally would from a Napa appellation, and that acidity just hangs around, and it keeps these wines really fresh, really mouth-watering, and it kind of keeps you coming back for more. It's kind of the hallmark of our Pinot Noir, I think, and it's something that I really love to lean into. This 2018 was just released, so I hope that you have a chance to jump in and enjoy it. We are, as some of you might have seen, adjusting our release schedule a little bit. Normally our Pinot Noir has been coming out in the springtime, late April into May. It is going to be shifting into the fall season, largely because it is such a great food wine and just needs a little bit of extra time, I think, in bottle to kind of soften up. We're going to be stretching that out just a touch, because what we're doing is actually shortening up the barrel time a little bit, and we're going to lengthen out the bottle aging time a little bit. So just kind of playing around with our release schedule a little bit to see what might fit. And quite frankly, that's what we're going to be doing with our 2019 release, the next one after this, and I'm so happy with how that's settling in. I can't wait to share that with you guys in the upcoming months. But for right now, this 2018, it'll get you there. It'll hold you over until those new releases keep coming out. So do check this out online on our website. It's available in our online shop right now if you need to stock up on some Pinot Noir. As always, thank you for checking out our videos. You can check out some of our other tasting notes. Stay tuned for the 2019 Rep and Change red wine. We're going to be getting that in the next video in just